Google Drive, but on the blockchain. iCloud, but on the blockchain. Trusting a third party versus trustless infrastructure. You see where I'm going here? Introducing Cassette, the decentralized storage platform for the Neo blockchain. Let's talk about that. Sorry, I had to. So yes, Cassette is the decentralized cloud storage solution for the Neo blockchain. It is the first application to finally bring NeoFS, which we've talked about in fact, my first video I ever made of the greatest things that Neo brings. NeoFS can now easily be accessed by anyone who is a user on the Neo blockchain. Thanks to its super easy to use application, as well as Neo's cheap transactions to put everything on chain. So if you've been looking for a way to have a decentralized host for your website, or just have a decentralized trustless way to store your files or photos or absolutely anything that you'd want to store on a cloud service, Cassette is the answer for that. No more do you have to rely on a third party like Google Drive or iCloud or any of those other storage platforms. You can now store it on multiple computers across a decentralized blockchain instead of trusting who knows where your cloud data is at this point, let's be real. And of course, instead of having to pay whatever the monthly fee is for those platforms now, the best thing about Cassette, you only pay for what you use. You don't need to pay anything if you're not using it actively, but you just pay something to get it stored on the blockchain. Nice, simple, easy to keep track of. But that's enough jibber jabber. Let's get into the application so you can really see how great and how easy it is to use this decentralized storage application. First thing you gotta do is head to getcassette.io, head to the top right or the middle here where it says download Cassette. Click your choice of download for your operating system. I'm on Windows, so I will hit Windows app. Then go ahead and install the application. Once installed, you will be greeted by this beautiful screen welcoming you to Cassette. Now, the first thing you have to do is you gotta connect your favorite wallet. Now, you can just do a native wallet, which is you can load a wallet that's already on your computer, or you can create a wallet through Cassette. For me, the best way is always to use a third-party wallet where you own the keys, and the keys are written down somewhere that's not stored on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and connect with Neon because Neon is by far my favorite wallet to connect with. So all you have to do is go ahead and launch the latest version of Neon Wallet, and go ahead and head to the wallet you would like to connect with. Hit connections, do new connection, then go into the application on Cassette, go connect wallet, copy by clicking this URL down here, go back to Neon, paste that in, click connect, accept the connection, and bing bada boom. Neon wallet is now connected with Cassette. So now that our wallet is connected, the first thing we have to do is actually fund our NeoFS balance. So you got to take some gas from your wallet that you hold the keys for, and then transfer it basically to the NeoFS contract so that you can interact with it. So to do that, you head to the bottom left wallet here. Then you just need to go ahead and top up your NeoFS balance. I'm just going to load my NeoFS balance with $5 worth of gas. Hit top up. Then you head over to your wallet. There'll be a transaction you need to approve. You'll see the fees for it, as always. I have now signed the transaction, and now we will just wait for the NeoFS balance to be populated with our funds. As you can see right now, it's $0, so we're just waiting for that to show some balance. All right, now as you can see in the top right here, I have a $5 balance of gas in my NeoFS storage, and you can also go to your wallet in the top bottom left. You can see your NeoFS balance, and of course, as well as your gas balance that's in your actual wallet. One thing you can do if you don't want to see USD values, you can go to the settings wheel in the bottom left, and you can just switch this toggle, and now it will show actually how much gas I have both in my wallet and the NeoFS storage. So your total choice on what you want to use. I'm just going to stick with USD because I think it gives a better idea of how much you're actually spending to use this storage. You know, it's hard to visualize it with gas. So let's get right to it. Let's start storing something. Let's use the storage. First thing you want to do is you want to head to this little icon here, which is your dashboard. You can see any of your notifications. If you need help, it'll lead you to the right place. But let's go to containers. Of course, there's also a tab here, the little open box for containers. Basically, if you've ever used a cloud storage service like AWS before, container is basically your bucket or your place where you're going to store your data. So let's click create your first container. First thing you got to do is just give yourself a container name. I'm just going to name this one after my channel here, Unlocking the Chain, and note that this can't be changed, so be happy with it, okay? Next, you want to set your permissions. So do I want this to be completely private, as in I don't want anyone else to get access to this? Do I want other people to be able to add files to it? Or do I want people just to be able to see the files in there? For this one, I'm just gonna say this is gonna be a public read. That means anyone can see my container, including you watching this video right now, and you guys can see or download the files that are on there. So let's go ahead and do that. Another thing to note, read and write does not mean delete. The owner of the bucket, in other words, me, is the only person that is able to delete files within the containers. Write only is good for if you want people to use it like a Dropbox kind of thing. So if you want to just have a file submission sort of area where they can throw their files in there, but they can't actually do anything with it once it's been dropped in. Now, I'm not going to touch subdomains for this one, so we're just going to create this container. It's going to send us a transaction to the wallet, and then I sign the transaction, which is going to create the container, which is done. Now there's going to be a second transaction. That second transaction is for those permissions I said. I gave it read permissions to public. So by default, any container you make is just a private container. That was the first transaction I signed. Then the second transaction I'm signing right here is going to put those permissions that I assigned onto my container. As you can see, I have my private container here. Once the second transaction goes through, it's going to be a public read container. And now that I've refreshed the containers here, you can see that my Unlocking the Chain container is now a public read container. Let's step into it. So now we're here in our little beautiful container, and you can get some information here, our container ID. That's kind of like our unique ID on the blockchain. When it was created, the current size, current permissions for it. Here you can upload files, upload a whole directory if you want to. That's more useful if you have, like, say I have an entire directory of a website, I can just upload that whole directory all at once. You can delete your container here, assign a subdomain. We'll get into this in a little bit here, but this is for NeoName service. If you have multiple containers attached to one NeoName service, we'll get into that though. And then manage permissions. It'll show you your current permissions that are allowed for the public. And you can update them here as well. So let's go ahead and see what it's like to upload to our container. So I got a folder with a bunch of my Unlocking the Chain logos in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload this as a directory. I'm gonna select this UTC folder here, and you're gonna see basically the file path of each file that is in this folder. So basically for me, this is a bunch of images of my UTC logo or potential variations of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit upload here. And obviously the first thing I gotta do is I gotta sign this transaction here. I'm gonna go ahead and authenticate. And then it's going to upload the entire folder and its contents onto the blockchain in a decentralized way, which is awesome. It's that easy. All right, so now that the files I've uploaded, you can see there's a bunch of different variations of my Unlocking the Chain logo, all available here now. So let's click one of them. So now you can see the file here. There's a couple things here. One is this file URL is one. You can click to copy this. Anyone who has access to the internet will now be able to see that one file in its decentralized storage by just following that link. Now, the one thing about that link is it's obviously a big, fat, ugly link with a bunch of random letters for my container and random letters for the actual file on decentralized storage. That's where NeoName service comes into play, but we'll get into that. You also have this cassette URL. Now, what's beautiful about this cassette URL is that you're not relying on any centralized service whatsoever. So this a file URL that you can connect to any web browser that is still has some reliance on some sort of third-party web service host. But if you head over to the browser here and we paste that cassette URL in this decentralized browser, we hit search, it will now pull up the file on decentralized storage without any third-party intermediary. As you see here, we are now looking at my file that I uploaded to my decentralized container in a completely decentralized manner, relying on absolutely nobody except the protocol. Pretty sweet to have that option. So of course, this works fantastic, but this object ID is a bunch of unreadable computer mumbo jumbo, and same with this container ID. So what can we do to make this nice and easy to read in a human readable format? Well, that's where NeoName service and subdomains come into play. I've got my own NeoName service. Let's go ahead and add a subdomain here. So all you have to do is head to assign subdomain, select your NeoName service subdomain. So I have unlockingthechain.neo. Then you have to give your container a name. So I'm just going to name this container logos because this container is where all of my logos are stored. Let's go ahead and hit save. Then all you have to do is sign the transaction for assigning this NeoName service to your container, and then you will be able to see the registered domain. So I just created a new bucket again to show this off, but you can also drag and drop a bunch of your files at once to upload them all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again to showcase that, yeah, you can just drag and drop, which is nice and easy. Of course, you have to sign the transaction. It's all on chain, but that's part of the beauty. Honestly, that probably worked better than the last time. Nice and easy, and I got all my logos this time. The first time I tried, I don't know, some of them didn't arrive when I uploaded as a directory, but here you go, I dragged and dropped all my images, and now all my logos are in here on the blockchain. So as you can see, that new container I have where I uploaded all those images here. If I go to containers, you can actually see my domain that I just assigned. So the subdomain of logos will take you to this specific container. Then my NeoName service domain is unlockingthechain.neo. That means if we head to the decentralized browser now and I go to logos.unlockingthechain.neo, we go ahead to that address and you can now see all of my images in that container. So yes, right now, if you download the Cassette app and you go to the decentralized browser and enter logos.unlockingthechain.neo, you will be able to see all of these files that I have just uploaded to the application, and because it's read access, you'll be able to download them if you need to use them for whatever reason. But these are basically all the potential Unlocking the Chain logos that I own. Pretty sweet if you ask me. All of this was done in a decentralized manner, completely trustless, with the permissions that I want to set on them without interacting with a third party in a human readable way. What more could you ask for? It's really easy to use, so I advise you, if you can, go ahead and give this a try. If you're looking for a decentralized future, Cassette makes it easy to do that on Neo. I won't get into it on this video because it's a little bit more in depth, but you can also obviously use this as a place to host your website. You just put up all of your website files in a directory, attach it to your NeoName service domain, and boom, you got a working website. Like, it's that easy and that simple. But here I'm just showing the example of using it as a file storage, which will be real. Most people, if they're going to use this, are just going to use it as a place to store some files. And that's what I'm using it here. And of course, mine's public, but you can always have it private, and that means absolutely no one can access your data. It is fully encrypted. You have nothing to worry about there. And the most important part, if you look in the top left, or of course in my wallet here, my NeoFS balance is $4.92. Just thought I'd interrupt this video to let you know how much it actually costed for me to do those transactions to create the container and upload the files. 0.004 gas. That means I spent 1 US cent to do all those transactions that you saw in this video. So it's dirt cheap, nothing you gotta worry about. That shows you it's super cheap to upload and create a container This was me after creating 2 containers because I had an issue with my first container and I had to recreate a second one with that subdomain. Of course, if this video was super helpful to you, please hit that like button below and share this video with anyone else that might be interested in either decentralized storage solutions or just learning what is going on in Neo today. Because of course, Neo is not dead. There's always builders building upon it. If you'd like to see more content from me, please leave a comment below on what you would like to see or what you found most interesting about the Cassette platform. I'd love to hear your feedback below. But that is all. Thank you for tuning in. So long.